between two business organization, and the business organization who is purchasing is going to use it either for their own business activities or for the reselling. In B2C sales, the sales is happening within a business and a consumer client. The consumer client is one who will not go for further resell and use for personal consumption.
Okay. So just try to give certain points, obviously, if not all the points. So I have already given you certain hints in terms of customers, in terms of purchase process, in terms of STP,
Sir,
segmentation.
can I speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Sir, on the basis of customer, in B2B, the customers are basically the decision-making units, and in B2C, the customers are the single buyers.
Okay.
Can I add a few more points to my answer?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, sir, in B2B, the purchases are mostly bulk and discounts are provided. In B2C, the purchases are not usually in bulk and are sold in the retail pricing, sir. And discount availing is only possible when the company gives discount from their side. That is the seller.
Okay, good.
And in B2B, the customization of a product can also be there.
Dheeraj, yeah, I'll come to you. Please, that's why I told, please raise your hand so that I come one by one. Bhaskar, go ahead, then Dheeraj.
Yes, sir. In terms of STP, if we talk about in B2C, it's based on usage, demography, and psychography of the STP that is done in B2B. And in B2C, sorry. And so in B2B, the industry type and industry geography that's gonna have considered in terms of STP. And if we talk about 4P, the pricing have a very much effect on B2B and B2C differently. Even the product customization is happening in B2B from industry to industry. Like for TCS, when they provide service to banks, they have a different kind of product than when they provide service to a company which sells generally cars. But in terms of B2C, the product customization generally doesn't happen with every customers.
Okay. Yes, Dheeraj.
So I had the same point regarding the customization of a product in B2B and B2C.
Okay, Saurabh.
Yes, sir. Like regarding the pricing, like in B2C, it is more streamlined. That means one particular price for all the customers. And since business units are involved in B2B, so like based on the quantity of purchases, there would be discounts as well, or the price changes.
Okay. Who else? Rishi, yeah, you want to add something more?
Yes, sir. Just one last point. In the 4P part, I would like to go to the promotion part, sir. Sir, in B2C promotion, there are various methods of promotions. Let it be advertisements, billboards, or digital marketing, social media marketing, depending on what the company feels right for their product. But in B2B, no such, we don't see any ads, we don't see any promotions. Their promotional techniques are totally different because they're highly focused to the client. Like, for example, sir, we don't see promotional or advertisements of Airbus A320. They will directly do promotion to the airlines and all.
Okay.
But we see promotional activities for airlines and all because they are doing to us consumers.
Okay, good. Neha.
Yes, sir. On the basis of the purchasing process, we can say that in B2B, purchase decisions are based on needs and it is basically planned. But in B2C, the purchasing decisions are emotional and it is also based on needs and desires of the customer.
Okay. I'll hold this point to what Neha talked about the emotional purchase, right? Later on, when we talk about the promotion for B2B, specific promotions for B2B, we'll come to see that how emotions also play a role in B2B marketing. So I'll keep this point in mind when we discuss the promotions part specific to B2B products. Yes, Abhishek, then followed by Debasis. Abhishek.
Sir, actually in B2B, they focuses more on trust and relationships, as Neha told, and in B2C, they focuses on more on product and services they provide to the customers. Sir.
Okay. Anyone wants to comment on this? So what both of them told that B2B is mostly on trust and commitment for a longer term. B2C, you have to differentiate yourself in terms of product or the product quality or service quality. So anyone, obviously product quality and service need to be there. So it is not that B2B product won't have that. But do you think that trust and commitment will be more than the more emphasis or more impact than the product quality or service quality? Anyone wants to comment on that? Yes, so in
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
So,
yeah, go.
so I think in B2B, it is very difficult to switch from one vendor to another. In B2C is easier because the level of commitment and association is quite low there. But for B2B, we make a long-term commitment and contract. It's not always based on unit to unit. It's always in a bulk or for a long term. So that is why I think they wanted to say that that is the reason why a commitment and trust is more valued here than the B2C.
Okay. Yes, Tara Shankar.
Yes, yes, yeah. So in B2B, company also provides like services and products to the business in B2B sector, sir. And in B2C, companies sell the direct individual to the customers. Mm, they are both are though both models are business models are separate from each other. So that is
Okay. Any other answers? Sohini, Rishi, Abhishek.
Sir,
Anything
actually in
So
B2B, they have
anything else
for
you
a
want to add?
company.
Yeah. Good.
So in B2B, actually, the like the company doesn't have to focus is more on the services or the quality of product they are providing. But in B2C, the customer is regularly changing with respect to geographical area and various type of marketing factors. So that's the basic difference. So as I told the points.
Okay. So again, I'll keep this point in reserve. We'll discuss when we talk about the product part. What are the important factors when somebody is selling a product or designing a product? So I'll keep this point in reserve when we discuss that. Yes, Sohini.
So can we say that the role of reference group is not as pertinent in B2B like B2C? I don't know, like.
There it is not a specifically reference group, but there are certain other stakeholders who play the role. Similarly, like in B2C, there is reference group, maybe our friends, family, or the like kind of peers. There are uh, people who influence, and that is a and that is an important factor in your designing your B2B channel, right? B2B distribution channel when you are designing, that is one important aspect to look into. Uh, I'll give you an example. Like when you talk about reference group, think about a building construction. In Bhubaneswar, there is Tata Group, there is this Kedwan Group, there is this Money Group, right? When they are building apartments of 1,000 or 10,000 for 10,000 people, 10,000 flats or 5,000 flats, right? That is a huge contract, right? They need a lot of material, air conditioning system, plumbing. Obviously, some part construction they are doing on their own people. But there are products they have to buy, right, for interior decoration, interior designing, be it a air conditioning system or lifts, right, elevators or lifts inside buildings, right. So one of the key reference group are the key stakeholders which help to connect companies, right. So between those, let's say the building construction group and vendors who supply, let's say, lifts or who supply air conditioning system, large air conditioning systems, right, uh, are the interior designers or architects, right? So in that case, what happens? They become the bridge, right? And most of the time, they take certain commissions to promote certain kind of products or certain kind of services to the businesses, right? So when you are designing your distribution channel, you have to keep in mind whether I need, when a customer is purchasing this kind of product, do they need certain advice or consulting, right? So accordingly, your distribution channel will be designed, right? We'll discuss that. But yeah, that is similar to the reference group which we have in our B2C. Yes, BC.
Sir, actually, I want to add a point, but it is a bit contradictory, sir. Like some of my classmates told that in B2B sales, it is more on trust, and in B2C, it's more on product promotion and quality because it is very easy to switch. It is right, sir. It is easy to switch in B2C, but sir, I believe that let it be B2B or B2C, nowadays companies are strongly focusing on building trust because sir, it is the first rule of sales that you have to win the trust of the people whom you are selling, irrespective of whoever they are, if you want to sell.
True.
So
That is very much true.
I believe that trust is not a differentiating factor at all, sir.
So what your classmates were talking about the long-term commitment, maybe not on the trust in terms of trusting the quality or not, but a long-term commitment, right? So when I'm talking about a long-term commitment, I'll be looking into the various factors, whether I have a good rapport or networking system with that vendor. I'll not be again. So when I say I, that business has to define what are the parameters, what are the parameters based upon which they will select a vendor, and that is one of your class exercise today, right? So as a group for a particular service or a product, you have to decide, right? So because what I said is that is not that won't remain same for all the businesses, right? In certain businesses, product quality will take the first like kind of seat. In some businesses, price will take the first seat. In some businesses, if I have a long-term commitment with that business from earlier, right, that will take the first seat and others will be backbenchers, right? So again, like depend upon the businesses. So that is one of your class exercise today as a group. You have to decide, right, for a particular business or particular service, what will be the criteria to select a vendor, right? Anyhow, so that part we'll discuss towards the end of the class, right? Any other point which we have not discussed, right? If it has already been discussed, we'll leave it. If something new you want to add, yes, Rajeshri.
Sir, most of the B2B companies are also dealing with the customer. So, sir, how we can differentiate B2B and B2C exactly? Because most of the, if you are taking an example of Cisco,
Yeah, go ahead.
yes, sir, if you are taking an example of Cisco, they are also dealing with the customer, and uh, and sir, always in business to business, also they are focusing on. But how we can exactly differentiate between B2B and B2C?
So when it's a differentiate means in terms of you want to say how you differentiate a company.
No, sir, not a company, but in case of Cisco, they are also dealing with the customer. So, sir, how we can differentiate that?
There are obviously different group who handles customers like you and me. There is a separate group, a customer group. There will be separate B2B sales group. So was that your question? How do you differentiate in terms of sales cycle?
Yes, sir, but not at all. I'm not satisfied.
See, like we discussed in the first class, right? There won't be any company who is purely a B2B or B2C. Think about ITC, FMCG company, right? They also have something called institutional sales, right? If you join ITC, it is not that you are joining a B2C company, right? You are joining a company. Later on, you will be alerted to which business. You might be alerted to a B2B business where they are making institutional sales, right? So most of the times, if a company is doing both, right? The normal customer sales will be a different group, institutional sales will be different. Same in case of Cisco, same in case of Microsoft, right? Microsoft has a huge business for B2B when they sell their product to all the laptop or desktop manufacturers. They also provide their product, the Office software or the Windows platform to customers like you and me, right? So the groups who are handling those sales are completely different. So what we are talking right now on those, both the sales process, how B2B sales process is different from B2C sales process. Think about Microsoft. First, let's say you get the example of Cisco, right? Cisco routers, networking devices, let's say this WebEx, so which is a video platform, right? So all those
Yes,
products can be utilized by a business, can be also utilized by customers like you and me, right? But the sales channel will be different,
yes, sir.
right? So when they are dealing with a, let's say, big KIT university, let's say KIT university wants to like establish this video sharing platform, right? WebEx, like Zoom, it is also one of the key competitor of Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Google Meet, right? So Cisco has this platform called WebEx, WEBEX, right? So let's say they are trying to selling to university like KIT, right? So they will have a separate sales team, sales process for that. So think about how many universities in India, only 890, 900 universities. So there will be a group of people. So if I compare Cisco, same product, the WebEx video platform, the B2B sales process and B2C sales process. Let us compare that. Customers, number of customers, if it is for only universities, there is only 900 universities. Total available market size for Cisco, if I'm only targeting the universities, is 900. But if I'm targeting students, so that will be B2C. How many students? Students who might be in lakhs or crores in India, right? Or working professionals, right? It will be in few crores in India, right? So if I compare the first point, customers, number of customers in B2B obviously will be less. Take any institute, take any company. It cannot be number of companies in India cannot amount to number of total population in India, right? So that is the difference, number of customers. Purchase process. Today, let's say I want to download WebEx rather than Zoom. Let's say I want to download WebEx. I'll go to the Cisco platform, I'll pay their subscription fee, I'll download that and start using that. After obviously after certain kind of training, like have to watch the YouTube videos and all those things. Think about if KIT University wants to install WebEx platform. They say that, okay, we won't use Zoom. Now onwards, we'll use WebEx. Now what will happen? There is a purchase group in KIT University, right? They'll ask for tender. They'll ask from Cisco. They'll ask from Microsoft. They'll ask from Zoom. They'll ask from Google, right? Obviously, it is up to them whether they'll bid for that or not, right? So there is a standard process. Out of that, let's say 2 or 3 companies provided their offer. Okay, for these many user licenses, this is the amount we'll charge, and there are other conditions also, right? Now what happens? Now what happens? So we'll go get into the discussion process. Okay, which price is less, which who is more. Let's say that is the point some of you brought in the beginning, right? So if I say, okay, I have already, some of us will say that we have already used Zoom, so we are comfortable with Zoom. Let us not try to change that. Some of us in that purchasing group might say that no, let us get into WebEx because that is providing additional functions and features, right? So that discussion will happen between that purchasing group. That criteria need to be defined based on what you want to kind of select a vendor. Once those things have been confirmed, then the vendor selection will happen, the order will be placed. So it is a long process, sales process. But in B2C, today I want to decide, by tomorrow I have made a purchase and completed it, right? For the same product, right? Segmentation, targeting, positioning. If Cisco wants to sell this kind of product to like in India, and their target is people like you and me. So the segmentation, they will be maybe demographic wise, maybe psychographic, or based upon our work, which kind of work we are doing. Some people are into business, some people into IT, some people are students, right? So that segmentation they might do. But when we are talking about the segmentation of businesses, that will be a macro and micro. Obviously, we have not discussed segmentation. We'll discuss that. There are different segmentation criteria: size of a business, number of employees, region, like which region of India they are from, right? What kind of their requirement is, right? So there are different kind of segmentation variables. Similarly, once your segmentation is done, the targeting, positioning of your product also will vary, right? Then the 4 P's: product, price, promotion, place. Product, most of the time Cisco is not going to customize a product for me, though they do to certain extent, depending upon what features I need. But most of the times there is a, let's say I want to download Zoom. Zoom might have a basic premium feature, right? For some additional key type of products, which I can download and use it after paying certain money. Similarly, same case in Cisco also. But think about if Cisco is selling it to KIT University, lot of customization might be required. Security features, let's say I want to use it for exam invigilation. Additional features will be required, right? So that customization won't happen for a single customer, but they might do it for a big entity like KIT University because number of licenses are more. Pricing, whatever you see in the website, that is the price most of the times I have to pay after certain discount. But here, when they are selling it to KIT University, because number of licenses are more, the price needs to be negotiated on. And they are competing maybe with June. And if they get into a price war, so they might reduce their price less than Zoom also, right? So that is the pricing part. Promotions, right? Again, the promotional channels they do. So here what happens if they are selling it to both B2B, B2C, most of the times promotional channels might be same. But if it is a very technical product, none of us buy those products. Let's say heat exchanger or a something which none of us buy, big chiller system, big compressor system. We won't see those advertisements on TV and radio. They have a separate industrial distributor channel to promote them, right? Maybe through a trade show, maybe through webinar, maybe through white paper, right? So those are the traditional B2B sales promotion channel, right? Last is what we have not discussed, distribution channel, right? In B2C, it's the same WebEx platform. Either it can be a through it because it is a software, right? I can go to their website, I can buy it, or I can contact their salesperson here, right? Like we did do it for SPSS software, right? We generally contact the salesperson in Kolkata, right? According to the deal we negotiate on, right? We get those user IDs, right? After we pay certain license fee, right? Again, for businesses, the channel will be sometimes, like I said, there will be some consultants, educational consultants who might consult. Okay, because a lot of big university in USA, Europe are using this kind of platform. Why don't you use that? We might take help from some educational consultants also, because it is just imagine it is a big kind of a project to implement this kind of software, this kind of implementation in a university like KIT, right? It will be for around 20,000 students, around 2,000 or 3,000 professors, right? So that kind of quantum of business, it needs a additional, maybe a consultant, educational consultant will be there, who will help us in that process, right? Which is not true in a B2C. I might ask some of you which platform is better, but again, I on my own, I will download that software, pay a certain amount of license fee and use that, right? So to answer your question, same company with the same product might use that product with customization for B2B sales and B2C sales. What we are trying to differentiate between that sales process. I'm not trying to differentiate between company as such, right? Because like I said, there will be very few companies who are purely B2B and purely B2C. Most of the companies lie in between, right? They'll be doing both of them, B2B and B2C, right? Any questions or any doubt on this?
No, sir, exactly. Thank you so much.
So these are the few points what we have discussed. Complexity. Complexity is much more in B2B. B2C is less complex. Think about the automobile you are buying. If you want to buy a car for your family, obviously you have to think about it. But it is less complex, right? You'll search on Google. You will think about or talk to your friends. You will talk to your family members who own a car, right? Then you decide within 1 month. Same, let's say KIT University wants to buy 10 number of cars, 15 number of cars. It is a long process. We have to float tender, offers will come. Before that, we have to finalize the techno-commercial criteria. Based upon that, offers will be evaluated, negotiation will happen. Then the final kind of order will go to the vendor. Maybe Tata Motors, also Leland, Maruti, whichever vendor wins the bid, right? So it is mostly a complex process. A lot of people are involved. So that's why it is known as a long sales cycle. So B2B process is mostly a long sales cycle, right? It takes a time of 1 month to 12 months, right? Sometimes it is more than 12 months also. Sales cycle in customer, when I say B2C, few minutes, days, but yes, there will be products which might take few months. Let's say you are buying a automobile, right? It need not be within few days. You might take few weeks also, right? Larger deal sizes, fewer purchases in B2B. Here, if you talk about B2C, right, smaller sales in higher quantities, right? Fewer leads generated, obviously, because think about if I'm selling a product to a B2B company, number of companies will be always less than number of customers, final customers like you and me, right? So lots of leads generated, right? In case of B2C. Number of stages, right, in the purchase process in B2B is longer, right? Why it is so? It needs lot many approvals, right? So from the starting point, who has sent the tender to the final approver, right? Lots of people are involved in taking the decision. In B2C, you will go either you will purchase for yourself or your family members, right? The touch points are very less, right? So it is not that 10 people or 10 family members are going together and in that shop you are making a decision, right? Obviously you are taking their opinion, right? But when the final purchase happens, you are the only like paying the money and taking the product, right? Here, if it is a big tender, the signature itself, right? Number of people who need to sign those documents, depending upon obviously the number of deal size, right? That itself takes a lot of time. Next class, I'll show you a slide. How many years we took to finalize the Rafael deal, and right now people have started questioning that also, right? So that is a different case. But think about like when government purchases happens, why does it take that many number of years, right? Because lot many people are involved, lot many processes are there, right? So if you see in the right
Sir, I
side,
have doubt.
yeah,
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir.
yeah, go
Sir,
ahead.
in the first point during complexity, you mentioned something about tender, sir. Sir, is it mandatory that whenever any B2B purchase is happening, the buyer is putting out tenders, sir? Is it compulsory?
For government organizations, it is compulsory. They cannot, unless the purchase value is less than 10,000. Again, different government institutions have. So in Hindustan Petroleum, where I used to work earlier, it was 20,000 rupees. So anything bigger than 20,000, we have to put a tender. So different government institutions will have their different municipalities, the central government, different organizations will have that limit. Same in case of also private, right? Because otherwise, what will happen if I make it optional, right? All of us will go by our own network. I'll say that okay, this vendor I know, let us go ahead with that, right? Lot of bribing, corruption might happen, right? So government organizations mandatory across all the organizations in India. Limit varies. What is the minimum limit beyond which you have to go for a tender? Private organizations up to the organizations, but again, if they're a kind of a publicly listed company, right? They are into this stock market and all those things. All the purchases generally gets audited, so they also get into the standard tendering process. If it is a fully private organization, let's say you have your own consulting agency or your accounting agency, nobody is going to question you, right? You can do as you agree, right? So pure private organizations who are not listed, so they don't have this kind of tendering process. But any company who is listed, because a lot of auditing happens, they have to go through the standard tendering process. Again, the limit might be little higher. Yeah.
Acha, sir, in case of a big company who is not listed, for example, I'm just giving for example's sake, let us just say Byju's, sir. It is a big startup. It is a unicorn with lot of money and not listed, sir. Say Byju's top management says that we want to give BMW cars for all our executives. All our executive will have BMW, or C-suite people will have BMW. Or luxury car, they don't need to put tender, they can just go to BMW, say we want to do B2B sales with you. Is it possible?
Yes, very much. Nobody is going to question them. It is their money, right? So unless
Okay,
the
sir.
board of directors are not questioning them, who are us? So I'm not going to question them. But think about TCS, right? Let's say there is a big tender and they have done. As a shareholder, I can question the TCS management. How does this tender has been finalized? Because see, I am holding it. So if you also like hold one share of a company, right? You are still the owner. Maybe very less, but still you are the ownership. Have that ownership, right? During your annual general meeting, you can ask all those questions, right? So that's why publicly listed company has to go through all these processes. But yes, if you take Byju's, any Paytm, any company, but there will be people who will question them, right? Because it is not that who is that? What is his name? Baiju Rabindran. Whoever that person is, right? I forgot his
Yes,
name.
sir. Ravindran Baiju.
Rabindran Baiju, right? So he, his wife, right? Maybe right now they how much? 10% or 5% of the company. Most of the is by the equity partners, right? So they might question, right? So there will be people who will be questioning them unless this company is yours only. In this, so that's why in the beginning when startup generally when you own 90% or 100% of the company, right? People do these kind of mistakes, right? Money comes, let's say you have a lot of revenue, you start spending it like this. But yeah, they are not legally bound to, like I said, they are not legally bound to quote a tender. They might get questions from the board of directors, but not from the public like us or the government, right? But if they are a public listed company, regular audit happens where they are mandated by the SEBI. I can question them if I am a shareholder, right? So that's why most of them do this. So I'm not telling private companies do not do that. Public companies legally are bound to, publicly listed companies are legally bound to follow these processes. Private companies are not legally bound because that is your own company. Right now, let's say you are a tax consultant. Whatever, whichever product you want to buy, you can buy for your company. Nobody is going to question you, right? Unless your share is traded in the share market. Was I clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you see in the right side, there is a picture which shows the e-commerce sales of B2B and B2C, right? So I did not get the total sales, including the traditional regular sales channel, right? So if you think about e-commerce, right? Alibaba is a big e-commerce kind of platform for B2B. Udaan in India is a big Udaan India Mart. So they are the basically big platform for B2B business. Amazon or Flipkart mostly into B2C, right? So total sales, if I take, right, total sales across world, right? So in 2019, right, the total sales across B2C e-commerce was $2.8 trillion, right? For B2B, it is $6.7 trillion, right? Again, I hope that traditional sales also will be similarly, right? So what I mean to say is B2B sales is almost double of B2C, right? If I just take the e-commerce, even if I add the traditional sales, right, regular sales process, the numbers will remain same. At least the kind of ratios will remain same. So my question is, one of the obviously key reason we have discussed, B2B purchases are mostly into bulk, right? So that's why sales value revenue will be also larger. B2C, each deal size, right, is small. That is one of the reason for having this ratio, right, having this differences in sales or the revenue value, right? What can be other reasons? So my question is, why do you think this B2B revenue, total B2B revenue is so much higher than B2C revenue? One of the reason already we have discussed, B2B is bulk quantity purchase, B2C is single quantity or double quantity purchase. That's why that can be one reason. What are the other reasons? Please raise your hand for those of you who want to answer. So this is a bonus question. So who answers correctly will get 1 mark. Yes, Dheeraj. Go ahead.
So I think the price of the product or the price of a service which is provided in the B2B market is much higher than the in B2C market if it compares.
Okay, can you give an example?
So like if a single service is provided in B2B, they will provide a customized option and some other things also, and also include the installation charges and many other charges which took up the price much higher, added into the price. But in B2C, if a product is sold to a customer, then customer had an option to install from the other or from the company.
Okay. Okay. Rishi?
Sir, in B2B sales, what happens is, what I believe, sir, once the relationship is set between buyer and seller, that relationship it tends to be very long term, sir. For example, sir, if Kit this year bought Lenovo laptops, sir, it is not that next year again they will take out a tender, again will change to some other company, then again next year will change. No, sir, this will be long term. So next year also Lenovo will give laptop, Lenovo will give all the after sales services and all. So companies, once they do one deal, it usually stays for a very long period of time, so that ensures that money is consistently coming into the company.
Correct, but we are talking about the single year, right? Correct. When I talk about revenue, this is for 2019. What you told is correct. Longer term, it is a constant revenue will come every year, at least for 2 to 3 years. Here we are talking about a single year, 2019. Whatever purchases made across B2B is much more than B2C. What you told is correct in longer term, continuous revenue growth. Chirag,
Yes, sir. Sir, I think that, sir, B2B business are getting so much type of revenue because our 70% of the revenue comes from the C line. So all those logistic companies who are in the C, for example, all the Merz Group and the DNG Group and all those big DHL and Hapaj Lloyd and everything, all those groups who are running their ships on the waterways, they are collecting a lot of revenue from all over from all these companies across worldwide. So this revenue cycle is much more higher in B2B segment as compared to B2C.
okay, okay. So any
So I wanted to my answer was pointing towards what Rishi said, but I want to modify it now and I want to point to something else. So can it be that the B2B purchases are more contractual in nature and it involves like there is a specific amount that you have to buy uh, and you are buying for everybody in the organization. Like when a company buys a software, so every employee in the organization will have to use that. So that's how what happens is that somehow impacts the suppose a company is using bot Zoom and the employee is accustomed with it. Suppose the employee leaves the company but still somehow feels like he wants to continue using Zoom. Very rare case, but might happen because he is accustomed with it. The example of Zoom is not might not be correct here, but that is what I thought of it right now. So I feel that these things sometimes works in favors of the company, like familiar things.
okay. So that is one point we already discussed on the bulk purchase side, right? Think about your laptops, right? When a key to
Yes, but
investor
I
is buying,
wanted to point that that how B2B can also impact B2C and like the over like the
correct,
integration
correct,
between.
correct, correct.
So
So
that's
that part
yeah.
agree, and that is a additional business model which we'll discuss how both of them impacts each other, right? That part I agree. Yes, there will be certain impact on which product you are using later on, whether it is a B2C or B2B. That part I agree. Pratik,
Yeah, sir, my thinking is that, like for example, for our Lenovo laptops, sir, the Lenovo laptop is giving pre-installed antivirus softwares, some graphics card, and some etc. hardwares or softwares, which is purchasable, like it should be paid. But like it is all provided from the company itself, and we are not paying for it. But in case of B2C, sir, the customer has to purchase it through outside. So here the price increases. The laptop price here increases compared to a normal retail store if a consumer is buying. So maybe, sir, for that only.
but in that case, don't you think that B2C purchases or revenue should be higher than B2B? So the point what you mentioned, because we have to buy additional, let's say, laptop bag, different accessories, right? In
Sir, for
B2C.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, like example, if sir, Lenovo is particularly taking the antivirus from Quick Heal, so for 5,000 laptops, it is taking the antivirus from Quick Heal. So the cost it increases. But from like we are around 43. but like antivirus softwares are maybe 10 to 15. Like I can go for McAfee, or someone else can go for Quickhill. So there the diversity it. So there the
Okay.
diversity is there.
Okay, number of options which I have to choose from might be different. I'll take your point. Yes, Bhaskar.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Bhaskar, go ahead.
Sir, if I consider the points that Pratik was saying, and sir, am I
Oh,
audible?
yes, yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, yes. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
I
As I was
can
saying,
hear.
sir, as Pratik was saying, in case of the example of Lenovo laptop that we have got, in case of Lenovo, sir, Lenovo conduct a business with Kit for providing the laptop with the installed of inbuilt Windows and Office, Microsoft Office in all. But for doing that, Lenovo has to conduct a business with Microsoft as well, and they have bought a bulk product from them as well. In that scenario, they are buying for the bulk purchase they have done. They made a lesser expense there, and in time of selling to the kit, they are made a larger profit. And the difference is that when a consumer buying these products separately from Microsoft and the Office and Windows and a Lenovo laptop and combining it, the profit the Lenovo will make, that will be only for the laptop. But in terms of when the purchaser doing through kit, the in the quantity of selling is larger because of they are in B2C there will be a single one quantity max to max two, but in B2B there is in terms of kit there maybe in a year 3,000 to 4,000 laptops they are selling, and with that they are manufacturing, wholesaling and retailing everything they include in that also. So they are not only profiting from the selling but also manufacturing and wholesaling and retailing as well. That's why in B2B they are making more profit than B2C.
Yeah, so margin is different. See, revenue, when I talk about sales revenue, margin again, there are different parameters that is associated with the network discount you have, number of channels, stakeholders you have, right? So that part will take separately. Right now, what I'm just talking about the sales revenue, the amount of money you get by just selling. Margin will come when I subtract the cost part, right? Right now, we're just emphasizing on the revenue,
Yes
the
sir.
sales part.
Yes, sir. That's because, sir, in B2B, the wholesaling and distribution, everything is controlled by the company only. That's why
Not
the
necessarily.
revenue is bigger, because in that terms they are making much more sales.
B2B, it is not always true that they'll control. So that is one important aspect we'll discuss later on when we discuss channel, right? B2B number of channel partners will be always less. They are much more kind of dependent on their own salespeople or the outside consultants. They do have channels like wholesalers or distributors. The number of stages are very less. That is huge in B2C. B2C, if you see number of channels, number of stages in a
Yes,
particular
sir.
distribution channel is much more than B2B. Yes, receive.
Yes, sir. In B2B, they make the savings there because
Yeah, so that's what I told. I'm not talking about the savings part.
Sir, I would like to
I'm
just
talking
add
about the
to
final.
Pratik's
Yeah,
point by modifying a bit.
yeah,
I may be wrong.
yeah. Good. Good, good.
Y- yes, sir. I would just like to modify a bit to Pratik's point, sir. Sir, yeah, sir, what I feel is that in B2B, the sales revenue is maybe higher because, sir, in B2B, sir, when the basic product is being sold, sir, along with that, there are other things which have to be sold, like auxiliary services to the product or auxiliary products to the main product, and after sales services which have to be sold. And these are necessary for the purchaser, means those who are buying, they have to buy it
Yes,
to
yes.
support the
I
main
think
product. So maybe that's why they're also able to generate sales.
correct. So I think Dheeraj or Pratik, someone mentioned that. Yeah. So that is one aspect because that is most of the time. Just think about the laptop, right? When I am buying or you are buying, most of the time the warranty period is over. We don't take an annual maintenance contract. That might be 1,000 or 2,000 rupees per year. But when a institute like KIT purchases or Infosys or TCS purchases laptops or desktops for their employees or students, right? Most of the times they will have this annual maintenance contract, right, which is a additional amount of money, additional revenue, right? Per year, this much amount of money they are charging. Let's say for your laptops, right? Each university is paying not only for your laptop, all even for my laptop, all the laptops what we have purchased, right? There is annual maintenance contract, and we are paying that money to laptop manufacturer, right? Per year, every year, right? Yes, Swami.
So this is not in terms of revenue, but can we say that while B2B, it is basically based on pre-orders. So the cost of inventory and all those things like pre-hand and all, and they get a time before making the orders, that is less than B2C. Like you get a bulk order, you get it is more structured, you have the idea, and therefore I mean you have to maintain a level of inventory, but not maybe as much as B2C or something like that. Can that be a point for
Yes, so that part, like who was
it's more
mentioning, Bhaskar was mentioning, that part is regarding your cost savings or the like increase in your profit margin, right? I agree with your point because obviously when you have a additional, know that forecast is better in B2B, you know that how many products or softwares you have to make. So you can manage it better. The structure will be much better than, so you don't have to keep lot of inventory, right? Uh, but that part is related to your cost savings and profit margin, increase in profit margin, right? What I'm talking about the revenue part. At what price I'm selling, total revenue of all the B2B purchases across world. I'm not talking about a single, only one B2B company. All purchases across world, if I take B2B purchases, only the sales part. The profit part, cost part, we'll discuss later on. Only the sales part is much more overall twice than the B2C. Few key regions already you have mentioned. There is this after sales service customization part, right? One key important aspect is, and some of you told about the transportation cost or those needed accessories, right? Lot of investment happens on that. One key area in B2B is capital investment. Think about Maruti, right? Maruti, when they are establishing a plant, right, assembly line, or let's say structure, building structure, right? So they are paying money this year, they are investing money this year. It will be used for next 10 years or 25 years, but the investment happens in this year. And every year, different companies do those kind of investments, right? That capital investment part, right, is a major revenue source or a major revenue or a sales part in B2B. So because who is doing that, right? So if Maruti is building something, maybe L&T or some other vendor will be kind of manufacturing those assembly lines and implementing or kind of putting that in that Mansar plant or whichever plant, right? So that capital investment, though it will be used for 10 years, but the revenue or that money they are paying to L&T or whichever company happens in that particular year, right? So think about in 2019, maybe last 2 years, a lot of capital investment has not happened. But in 2019 or before that, right? Any capital investment you can think of, right? Mostly they will fall into this B2B purchases, right? One organization is paying another organization to establish those equipment or putting those structures, right? Think about government contracts, highways, right? That will come under also B2B. Organization, that is government organization, they are putting a tender, maybe L&T or Tata Projects or any other Simplex Infra, right? They will win the tender. That will itself will be 3,000 or 5,000 crores. So those capital investment, either from a government or a ISRO or not NASA, I'm just taking the Indian examples, BHEL. So those equipment, what they purchase or even the private companies, right? All that which can come under capital investment. Most of the times, those are B2B purchases or B2B sales, right? So that is one important aspect which increases the total value, right? Was my point clear? Any doubt on this?
Sir, I have a small doubt, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, like you mentioned that the logistics is there, then there are other suppliers from whom the B2B seller has to buy from, sir. But sir, like you took the example of Lenovo, sir. Sir, say, sir, Lenovo, as we know, the factory is in Shenzhen, China, sir. So it is very common that it will be manufactured from Shenzhen and then from ship it will come to India, sir. That is how 90% of the world's logistics happens, sir. But sir, if Lenovo is going for logistics, first of all, they have to contact a shipping company because logistics are always outsourced. Very rarely this company has their own logistics channel, sir.
Correct.
So, sir, whatever money will go, it will go to logistics channel, right, sir?
Correct.
I mean, yeah. So, how does it give a advantage to companies like Lenovo to generate more money?
That is a cost itself, right? Transportation cost is
Yes.
around 3% to 4% of their total sales value. If they're selling the product at 100 crores, right? Total, let's say Lenovo's revenue in India is 100 crores and they do not have a plant here, right? Let's say in China or Europe or USA, right? Transporting those products to India. I'm not talking about the import taxes and all those things. That is a separate topic to discuss. Just for transporting those products to India, right? The general cost is around 3 to 5% of the sales value. If it is 100 crores, they'll be spending around 3 to 5 crores on transportation. Again, depends upon from where they are bringing. So that is a cost to the company, right? So your question was that how they're making profit.
Yes, sir, because like I think Bhaskar told that because logistics is happening, so I mean money is being generated and that's why B2B sales generates more money.
B2B sales, so I'm not talking about single company like Lenovo, right? I'm aggregating all of them, aggregating all the B2B sales which has happened in world in 2019. I'm just not talking about one sector or one industry, right? So if you combine all the sales which has happened in business to business, it can be from government to business, it can be from business to government, any transaction or business to institutes like HEAT, right? All together, right? So to answer your question, yes, logistics itself is a cost, no matter whether it is B2C or B2B, right? Even ITC has plant, let's say Amul. We use this Amul milk for some products of Amul ice cream, Amul butter, and all those things, right? They might not have a plant in Odisha, right? Still, they are supplying to Odisha, right? So that part, whatever the transportation, they are bringing it from Gujarat through different transportation route and supplying to Odisha retailers or the shops, right? That itself will be part of the cost structure. On that, they'll be charging certain margin and that will be their revenue, right? So logistics cost, whether it is B2C or B2B, right? That will be always part of your pricing. Pricing means the cost structure. Then on that you add your whatever profit margin and get the revenue, right? But
Okay,
yes,
sir.
B2B, because most of the times this transportation across countries happen, big heat exchangers, bigger items, logistics cost is much more. B2C mostly it will be, I'll not say for all the products. Think about your mobile phones. iPhones, I don't think right now they have started plant in India, but a few years back everything used to get imported, right? So there also logistics cost in or unit cost will be much more high, right? So now let us discuss two more important aspects. Right? We talked about B2B, B2C, right? Uh, can you give an example of B2, B2C, right? So let me explain this model, then you can give me an example. So B2, B2C means there is a business which is selling their product to another business, that is B2B. The middle part of B, which is there in the center, right? They are selling the final product to a customer, right? The final customer can be a customer of the first business also, right? The final customer, which is C, can be a customer of the first business, right? So the first business have two kind of customers. One is to the uh, business or organization they're selling their product, or can be the final customer, right? Can you think of any? We have already discussed those examples.
So B2B2C can be petroleum or LPG, like the manufacturer are giving it to the distributors, then the distributor are selling it to the end consumers.
Yeah, so like I said before, distribution part is part of the channel structure. We don't consider distributors, retailers as B2B business. In that case, all the B2C also will be part of B2B business, right? ITC has a huge distribution structure, PNG, HUL, right? When they talk about B2C business, right? There are their channel partners, right? So they are not taking their ITC is not selling the product to the wholesalers or distributors. ITC is temporarily giving the part of ownership of the product, and to take that ownership, wholesalers, distributors, retailers are charging 5% or 10% as a commission. So those are commission-based channel partners. Here, sales actually doesn't happen, right? So ITC. So if you think about the channel partner, how the channel is structured, from the manufacturing side, it will go to the wholesaler, wholesaler to distributor, distributor to the retailer, right? So everywhere they'll keep certain margins, right? And finally it will go to the customer, right? So here the selling doesn't happen. It is not that ITC is selling to wholesaler and say that, okay, I have sold to you, that's it. ITC is selling to the final customer, to this channel partner. So that is not a B2B. So anything, anywhere you talk about channel partner, right? So those are taking commissions, right? So it is not that the company is selling their product to the wholesaler or distributor or retailer.
So sir, I was
Sir,
talking
one
about
doubt.
the
Yeah.
petroleum or the LPG distributorship.
Same thing applies, right? LPG or petroleum products, right? HPCL, IOCL or Petronet LNG, right? So the in between, whoever has the franchise or whoever has taken the dealership, right? So they take the product, right? And for each product they sell, they'll get a commission of 10 rupees or whatever it is, right? The amount of money. Then if product is not being sold, they'll return it if the expiry date is over, right? To the final manufacturer. So the company is not selling, right? Or anything else you are, if I get your question correctly. I'm not sure whether I'm getting your question correct.
No sir, it's okay.
Yes, who is
Sir, I have a
Rajesh?
doubt. No, sir, I have a doubt, sir. Can I please ask?
Yeah, let Rajeshri and Bhaskar talk about that. If there are any questions, then you can.
I
Yes,
was
sir.
talking about the example, sir. Okay, Raju, go first.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bhaskar. Sir, can we say that Amazon is the B2B2C model?
Can you elaborate?
Sir, Amazon is connecting to the retail stores, and the retail, those who are connecting to the Amazon, and like they are focusing on Amazon, and directly a customer can go to Amazon and whatsoever they are focusing on product, so they will directly not buying through the retail store but through Amazon. So can we say that B2B2C is a kind of Amazon is following the kind of model?
So remember what I said in the beginning, right? So the first business is selling the product to the second business. Second business is selling after certain modifications, it might or same product to the final customer, right? So first business is selling their product to the second business. So do you think that Amazon is selling their products to the retailers or retailers are selling their product to Amazon? Right? It doesn't happen, right? What happens? Retailers or the sellers are using Amazon, Flipkart, Zomato, restaurants using Zomato as a platform, right? So for each sales happens, they are paying Zomato certain amount of money, monthly or whatever, per order based, right? Ola, Uber. So everywhere if you see, those businesses, right, restaurant or the transporters, right, they are using that platform, right? So they are not there selling their services to those in between guys, right? The product you buy from Amazon, sometimes you buy directly from Amazon, sometimes there are different vendors who sell their product to Amazon. So there what happens, vendors are not selling their product to Amazon. Amazon do not have the ownership. They have the warehouse. Sometimes what happens, vendor might keep their product at Amazon warehouse, but the final ownership is with the vendor. If some quality problem happens, right? That is the vendor's problem, right? Amazon will return the product. Amazon will not pay to them. So now what happens? Let's say you buy air conditioning system from LG to Amazon, right? So LG or whichever product will pull are using Amazon's platform to sell you the product. So Amazon is a channel partner. Amazon is taking a commission of whatever 5%, 10%, or 3% for each sales what is happening, right? LG is not selling that product to Amazon. Amazon is not selling to you, right? Amazon is a platform which LG is using to sell their product. Sometimes Amazon have their own products which they are selling to you. That is just a B2C transaction, right? Yes, who asked? Bhaskar.
Yes, about the example, so Microsoft can be example, so because in terms of the laptops that we use in Lenovo, Microsoft selling their product to Lenovo, then Lenovo selling this laptop including the Windows to us. So we are being the end consumer of Microsoft, and Microsoft being the first business and Lenovo being the second business. So it is an example of B2 B2C model.
Correct. Any other
In,
examples you can think of? Supratik,
yes, so the
Atman,
Android-based software so that includes in mobiles. The Android stocks hold those to the mobile companies, and mobiles include those Android and give this to us. So Android OS also a example of B2B.
So can we say Accenture?
Accenture, how?
So Accenture basically do the projects for different companies, and they directly supply. That means they do that for the customers. Like my friend actually he works in Accenture. So basically they take the government projects which they provide to the customers. So we can say in this way Accenture can also be a B2B2C business model. It will be coming. Can we say that?
Yeah, no. See, that is true for any businesses, right? Think about any business which is into B2B. Finally, who is going to get benefited? Let's think about high roads, highways, right? L&T is doing it for
Yes, sir.
government of India, right? Or the highway authority. But who is going to benefit? People like you and me who are going to use that highway, right? So like that, everything the final customer is going to use. What I'm talking about the middle business is selling a product to a final customer, right? Whether the government is selling that
Yes.
product to us, which let's say they have taken the software from Accenture or something. If that is there, then we can tell that achievement. If let's say Accenture build a software for government
Okay, sir.
of Odisha, government of Odisha is selling to or taking some charges from citizens of Odisha. Yes,
Right.
Sohil.
Yeah.
Sir, can we talk about batteries, like the pencil batteries? We consume it ourselves, and they also sell to the other companies like the local lamp manufacturers, remote manufacturers, and even large companies like LG for their AC remotes or for TV. They use those batteries. So I want to give that
Correct.
example.
That can be one example. Think about in
Sir,
that way. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sir, one example which came to mind, which is purely B2 B2C, can it be Visa, sir? Visa. Like what Visa does is they do the card manufacturing as well as the electronic funds transfer. So those are taken by banks. Either it is Visa or Mastercard. They are the two biggest competitors. And then in return, we also use it. Like in our SBI card or ICICI card, we have the written Visa or Mastercard. They gave to SBI card, which is a business organization bank, and we bought from SBI being customers of SBI. That can
Yes.
be pure B2 B2C.
Yes. So again, the sales is not happening. How Visa and Mastercard work? For each credit card transaction or for each debit card transaction, right? They charge 1.5% to 3%. Again, depending upon what kind of agreement they have with what kind of bank, right? So what happens? Citibank, SBI, ICICI, they are using either Visa or Mastercard, and they are selling those cards to us, right? But the platform is Visa and Mastercard. The kind of whatever technology of payment transfer still with Visa and Mastercard. They are not selling that technology to whatever the banks. Banks are using that technology. So the credit card or the debit card is based on certain payment transfer technology, right? So that technology is owned by MasterCard and Visa. And for usage of that technology, because you are using that platform, anytime a transaction happens, 90% of the transaction is through Visa or MasterCard, right? In world, not only in India. So for each transaction, either a customer we are paying to that. Sometimes if you go to a shop, if they are not have that facility, they'll charge you 1.8%, right? Or the bank is paying to them, right? In either case, we are paying that platform usage, right? Same case of Amazon, because as a vendor, they cannot create a website of Amazon level, right? So they are using Amazon's technology to sell their product, right? So here there is no sale of technology, right? Visa and MasterCard still own the technology. Yes, Supratik.
Can we take the example like Pepsi and Coke? They sell their product like to Domino's and Pizza Hut, and then like Domino's sell their product to the customer.
Uh, I guess they own them, yeah, but to certain kind of restaurants, if you think of, and all those other where they do not have the ownership, yes. So what happens? We are buying from the small restaurants and all those things. We also directly buy because that is the brand recognition, right? So if you go to a restaurant, most of the times you will be asking for Coke or Pepsi, right? If you want to
Yes.
drink a cola. Yes, Dheeraj.
So if you take an example of tires, many car manufacturer also uses the MRF tires and CA tire in their cars and sell these cars to the customer. And customer also buy directly from the MRF and CA the tires. And when
So
they
that
replace
is a good
the
example.
yes, sir.
So tire manufacturer, if you see, why do they do those kind of advertisements? Intel does a lot of advertisements in TV, right? So obviously they are not targeting Dell or Lenovo, they are targeting us, right? So can anybody tell me what kind of branding it is known as when a Dell is advertisement or Lenovo is advertising saying that they have this Intel processor, or let's say uh, Maruti or some vehicles, the automobiles, they say that okay, we have the Michelin tire or Dunlop tire, which is imported. So if you see the higher end racing bikes, they say that okay, we use Dunlop tire or Michelin tires. We don't use Indian tires, right? So that is their selling proposition. They sell branding proposition. What kind of branding is known as? If a Duke or any racing bike, they say that our bike we use Michelin tire. What kind of branding will be that known as?
Sir, is this a kind of cross-selling?
No, cross-selling is something I have a product and I have additional accessories. Laptop bag I have, along with that I will, sorry, laptop, along with that I'm selling you my laptop bag. That is a cross-selling. Or let's say some additional webcams,
Sir, is it
mouse.
corporate branding?
No.
No.
So this is known as the ingredient branding. Ingredient means component branding, right? So I'm using Intel as a component in my product, and that itself I'm branding using for my branding. Ingredient branding. MRF tires or Dunlop tires in a vehicle. If I am showing that in my brand proposition, that is known as ingredient brand. So that is about B2B2C model. How much time? Okay, just quickly let me move the other one. So it is little different from B2B2C model. Can you think of B2C2B model? Again, don't think in terms of what we discussed in business to business to customer. So I'll just explain the model parameters. When I talk about business to customer to business, right? So what happens is initially a business will target customers, people like you and me, right? And people like you and me will get so habituated, right? So what happens later on, we'll convince the business where we are working on to buy those kind of products. And it happens a lot. So listen to me carefully. So this model is a customer acquisition model. Business to customer to business, B2C to B, right? So business, any business, they first try to target customers like you and me, individual customers like you and me, right? Then those customers like you and me get habituated of using that product or services,